Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning Lawland. I am so incredibly honored to welcome the iconic Shari Belafonte to the show. Thank you so much for welcoming, Shari.
My pleasure for getting here.
What an incredible career you've had. Tell us a little bit about your journey to getting here.
Well, I'll be 65 in September, so there's been a lot of roads.
Happy early
Just a few I had to take to get here because it took me about 2 hours to get here. But let's see, I started in hotel, which is probably the most iconic or most known, but everybody that's under 30 years old probably doesn't even know what that is. Then I started in a show in Canada called Beyond Reality. Then, there was a lull in the activity. I've done acting. I've been behind the cameras just as much as I've been in front of the camera because I actually got my degree in production behind the camera. I was always supposed to be a director, I thought. And then ended up in front of the camera, started making money, and I went, oh, well, this is kind of good too. I'm going to hang here until... and then now we've got a few shows in development. I did a great little thing with Stacey Blanchet, who did she was supposed to do an interview with me and then called me about a month later and said, I'm going to turn this into a documentary. And I went, a documentary? I went, wow, what have I done that deserves a documentary?
Well, let's take a look. We have a clip.
You all know who your dad is, Shari Belafonte. I know him really from the civil rights movement.
Martin Luther King and Harry were best friends. So certainly when I was at Dad's apartment in New York, and if Martin was there, he was Uncle Martin. Richard Avedon picked me out of a group of people to be one of the Calvin Klein girls. I actually had the editor of Vogue tell me the reason why I was getting another cover. She said, because you don't look black. When you're on a hit show like Hotel, you knew we were going to work for 4 or 5 years. For General Hospital, they shoot between 85 and 110 pages a day.
That woman made a mockery of me, of my office, and of this city.
You get sometimes caught. I'm not young anymore. If I had just really stayed focused and picked up more behind the camera training, I would probably be better positioned today doing directing. You rarely get the kind of money behind projects that have women of color or women that are involved behind the camera than you do men. And that's the story of my life.
What I think is interesting about your life is you've got this total artist in your family, and you have a psychologist.
My mom was a child psychologist and family therapist. She was also on the White House Commission for Native American Affairs and Aging in Youth because she was Native American. She was Haudenosaunee. She died quite a few years ago, but she always was very focused about the business life. Harry was always focused about the entertainment industry, and I was caught in the middle. I had a great stepfather who was a doctor, so when I was very young, I sort of thought, I'm going to be a vet when I grow up. And ultimately, when they said, well, you have to stay in school another 7 or 8 years, I was like, well, maybe not that. And then, and the idea that I was going to lose animal, because my stepfather said, well, you'll lose them. I said, no, I'll make them all better. And he said, no, you're going to lose some. So I went, I don't want to do that.
And I have to say that you've been in my life also from Slim Fast.
Oh my God.
Like
I said, that's an acid flashback.
You've been like on cover.
Slim doesn't really fit my lifestyle at all right now. But yeah, I did a lot of commercials.
Amazing.
I did quite a few magazine covers. I did some modeling, but I'm only 5'4", so I didn't do the runway and all of that stuff. But I actually am developing a project right now with Condé Nast that hopefully will, doesn't bring me back as a model, but we start talking about models. And yeah, I've been very busy. I'm also now, I tell her, because people say, so you're starring with Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon and Steve Carell. I'm going, no. I'm number 31 on the call sheet. I'm not exactly starring with them. And they go, well, what do you do? And I go, well, I run the show. But the reality is I'm the stage manager of the show, of the morning show, which is the show within the show. And then...
so tell us about...
Of course, that's on Apple.
There's not much I can say because it's going to come on. It's on Apple TV. It's going to launch. It's their, it's their flagship show that's going to launch, I guess, sometime in October, November. And Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, and Steve Carell are the nicest people in the world. That's all I can say. That that they're really sweet. It's a daytime talk show. It's it's you guys know what that's about. Yeah. Basically, it's about this. And it's got a wonderful backup cast. Nestor Carbonell is in there. Gugu Mbatha-Raw is in there. Belle Polly's in there. Billy Crudup is in there. Mark Duplass is in there. So that's why, as you start hearing all those stars' names, that's why I went, down here.
So you have lived the life of rich and famous and everything else. What's the takeaway? What's the takeaway from all this? We want to know.
You gotta live your life. You have to be true to yourself and be. I think because I've never I've never done all the other kind of Hollywood stuff. I think primarily because I always thought I was supposed to be behind the camera. I didn't have that that actors had to be, to do everything that they needed to do to make sure that that job happened. To me, it was, if it comes, it comes. And so for a long time, it didn't work. I probably should have focused on doing that. But
do you think your lack of resistance and neediness and desperation around making it happen and forcing it to happen was actually a strength of yours?
I think you're onto something, because when Hotel came up for me, which was a big show, I dug in my heels and I said, no, I'm not doing that show. They said, because it was supposed to be one day. I was going to fly up to San Francisco, do this one day for this one part. And I went, no, it's Friday. I don't want to go audition for this.
I had to go to the pool.
Yeah, exactly. So, and by the way, I wasn't well known. Again, my headset was, I'm going to be a producer. I'm going to be a director. It's like, what is this? Ultimately ended up being 5 years, great cast and crew that was on there. And then same thing happened for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And I've always been lucky in that, even though there was many days and years in between before I would get some acting jobs, I was happy to be in the entertainment industry, just to be able to be a writer, be a director, do it all.
How'd you get to the low periods or the quiet periods? I think that's the toughest thing in LA, is when things aren't happening and you're sitting there waiting for the phone.
It does get depressing, but then that's when I was started in my arts and crafts. I was a photographer when I was very, very young. My grandmother gave me a camera when I was 4 years old. So I always started building this photography thing. I ended up having gallery shows. I started writing a book that's locked in a computer. I can't get it out, but it's
been there.
Yeah. It's like, one of those geek boys when you need them. But I think it was being artsy craftsy and sort of keeping my mind. I do tie-dye. I do a lot of other things, and writing was a really good sort of outlet for me. Because when the Me Too movements came out, and I fell right into that, in that I didn't talk about it because back in those days, the only networks that you could work on were ABC, CBS, and NBC. Fox didn't even really exist as anything other than a Metro Media station that was local. And there were times that I did get into arguments with producers, and the casting couch thing did, sort of creep into my space. And I would say the F word and go, not going to happen, not interested. And ended up getting labeled as being difficult to work with and all of those things.
Wow.
So while other people have had other stories to tell about Me Too, my Me Too stories went a different direction, because basically I was like, it's not going to be Me Too.
Yeah.
Wow.
But then ultimately, like I said, I didn't end up getting gigs that were supposed to be mine.
Yeah.
But, you never know.
You clearly made an incredible mark as an artist in Hollywood. What other advice would you give to women who are trying to navigate this and navigate it in a way where it doesn't become Me Too?
I think that you have to stay true to yourself and, dig in your heels. It's hard to say, because I know everybody wants to move forward and get ahead, and they're thinking, oh my God, do I have to make this decision against that decision? And do I have to sleep with that guy or that girl? Or, you have to be true to yourself and realize at the end of the day, you've got to wake up and be happy and continue your life. So if it's something that you want to do and sleep with them, then, have at it. Don't be put off by it if that's what you want to do. But make sure you're doing it for yourself and for your family and your friends, and not for some lame ass reason. The
advice is sleep with whoever you want.
Sleep with.
That's the takeaway.
We've also
Go home, smoke a big fatty, drink a mimosa, and call it a day.
we've had an interesting conversation with your husband, Sam, about ageism in
Right,
Hollywood.
sure. Yeah.
How has that affected you, and how are you navigating that?
Well, it's interesting because
First of all, you look like you have an age, so that probably helps.
Yeah, right. Well, I have, but I mean, as a matter of, I was sitting here going, "Oh my God, where did those come from?" But age. It's hard, because we do live in a society, especially in the entertainment industry, where ageism is a factor. But ageism is a factor in everything, and you just have to, like I said, it sounds so. Like I'm saying it over and over again, you have to be true to yourself. It's whatever is going to make you happy at the end of the day. So if drinking a lot of water and hydrating is a good thing for you, and putting on Nivea or, anything that's going to save the face that makes you feel like it's going to help your day the next day, then do that. But don't live by anybody else's rules. I certainly don't. Sam and I have been married 30 years.
Wow, congratulations.
And we've supported each other. We've had each other's backs. We've run lines with each other, or, he's now getting into drone operating and shooting real estate. And because I'm a photographer, I'll come in and give my eye or lend my services in any way that we can. So it's always, you got to marry your best friend. That's what you ultimately have to do.
Love it. Such great
I
advice.
think that's
Well, obviously they know where to find you, but let people know where they can find you on social media and everything, your personal journey.
well, I'm on Facebook, Shari Belafonte on Facebook. I'm at the Twitter. I've got I've got Instagram. I've got the Shari Bela. I got the Twitter. I got the Instagram. I got the and just call Stacey Blanchet because she knows how to find me.
Well, and we'll find you soon on Apple TV on your morning
You'll
show.
see me on my morning.
Congratulations.
The morning show that I am just a small part of, but very
We
excited
look
to be a
forward to
part
that.
of it.
Thank you, Shari.
Stay tuned.
Thanks
We'll
so
be
much,
right back.
guys.